Meantime, Joe Biden, who has officially clinched the Democratic presidential nomination, is taking a shot at his future opponent for a comment in which President Trump invoked George Floyd's name in connection with Friday's strong U.S. job numbers.
Hopefully, George is looking down right now and saying, there's a great thing that's happening for our country. There's a great day for him. It's a great day for everybody.
George Floyd's last words, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe," have echoed all across this nation and, quite frankly, around the world. For the president to try to put any other words in the mouths of George Floyd, I frankly think is despicable.
And Dan Cassino joins me now. He is a political science professor at Farleigh Dickinson University. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dan.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start with Trump's announcement yesterday. He brought up George Floyd's name while talking about job numbers. What exactly was his message here?
So President Trump has actually been very consistent on this. Whenever he's asked about inequality or racial problems in America, his argument is that the solution to this is to have a strong economy. He argues a strong economy will lift all ships, and therefore African Americans should support him because the economy is strong. So he's saying George Floyd and all African Americans should be happy, should be thankful to him because the economy is doing so well. In recent days, he said he has done more for African Americans than for any other president in history. Previously, he had said that he had done more for anybody except Abraham Lincoln. Last week, he has actually gotten rid of Abraham Lincoln and now says he has done more for African Americans than any president ever. So President Trump very clearly believes that the economy is the only thing that matters here, and that is the solution to any racial strife, any racial problems we have in America.
And how did Joe Biden, who has formerly won the Democratic Party nomination, respond to Trump's comments?
Well, Joe Biden said that 85 or 90% of the people in the United States are great, are fine, are hardworking people who are really interested in trying to fix problems, and maybe 10 to 15% of people are not. And he was actually dragged over the coals a little bit in conservative media for saying this. They said, oh, he's saying 10 to 15% of people are deplorable, 10 to 15% of people aren't good, which I suppose by subtraction he is saying that. But more importantly, he said that President Trump should not be talking about George Floyd. President Trump should certainly not be talking about George Floyd in the context of economic recovery. And really, President Trump should be saying something, so something Biden's been saying over the course of the past week. President Trump should be saying something about race in America, something President Trump thus far really has not done. He's been talking about the economy. He has not wanted to talk at all about race.
Meantime, Twitter blocked a George Floyd video Trump posted citing a copyright infringement claim. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, this one became a controversy because Twitter and Facebook and all social media platforms took down the video because the video was illegally using images that had been copyrighted, news photos or something else. We're not actually sure what image it was that was problematic here. They took the video down. Then President Trump called them out on Twitter, not Facebook, because Facebook has been more of an ally of the president, called out the CEO of Twitter saying that the Twitter is part of a far left agenda that's trying to silence him and trying to muzzle him, and that he is going to use Section 230, which would not apply in this case, but that's what the president said, in order to try and fight back against social media. Of course, this is not a controversy at all. The DMCA actually requires that Twitter and Facebook take down all of these posts if there's any sort of copyright claim. So it's really the president jumping the gun, claiming there's bias against him when there's no evidence there of any actual bias. But remember, this is the president's strategy, to what we call play the refs, to claim that there's bias against him if there's not, in the hopes that those people who he's accusing of bias will then bend over backwards to try and be favorable towards him.
Well, from his defense secretary, Mark Esper, to his former defense secretary, James Mattis, people who were once in his camp are now condemning his actions with utilizing active duty military. What does this mean for him moving forward?
This is actually a real political problem for the president. The president, not too long ago, had talked about invoking the Insurrection Act, which would allow him, this is something that hasn't been used in the United States since the 19th century, it would allow the president to actually send armed military around the country to try and quell protests. So that's a huge step, and so far he's been talked out of that by the current head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. However, this really upset a lot of past military leaders who had worked with the president and has led to an insurrection not just among those military leaders, but also among some of the supporters in Congress. Some Republican senators saying that they're not sure that they can support the president if he's going to push forward plans like this. It's important politically because it means there is, among Republicans and among the military, who are very respected by Republicans, some counter-messaging, people saying the president is doing a bad job. And that's something we've heard from the president, from the president's supporters. If we get even 2 or 3% of Republicans who say, you know what, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden, but I can't bring myself to vote for Trump because military leaders are coming out against him, that essentially dooms President Trump's re-election chances. Remember, the president is just hoping that he can be close enough to Joe Biden, not get anything close to a win in the popular vote, but get within 5 points, and maybe he got an electoral college victory. He has no room for error here in this election coming up. And anything that hurts his standing among Republicans is potentially huge for the president.
Be interesting to see how this all plays out in November. Thank you so much for your insight. Once again, that is Dan Cassino, political science professor at Farleigh Dickinson University. Thanks again for your time, Dan.
Always a pleasure.